Good afternoon. Welcome to the October 27th, 2020 meeting of the Town Council Charter Review Committee. In accordance with Massachusetts General Law, this meeting is being videotaped and audio recorded, as well as being remotely broadcasted via a Zoom webinar. If there is anyone in our viewing audience who is taping this meeting, would you please announce yourself? Hearing, seeing none. Our first order of business is who is going to take minutes?
I'll do them, Larry.
Thank you, Jeff. We have before us the minutes of the meeting of October 20th, 2020. Do I hear a motion to accept?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Made and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor, Larry Levine, yes. Bill Adams,
Yes.
Marilyn Richards,
Yes.
Jeff Bosworth,
Yes.
Tom Christensen.
Yes.
Good, thank you. Okay. We left off last time in Article 8, Citizen Relief Mechanisms, Section 3, but beforehand, Andy Fraser had raised a question about financial standards, and that was under Article 6, Section 4. And yours truly checked the general bylaws, and there is no general bylaw dealing with management of financial systems and practices to conform to modern concepts of financial management. So, Tom, you're sitting on the General Bylaw Committee right now, correct?
Yes, sir.
So I need my colleagues here. Can we merely ask Tom to remind the town council through the bylaw committee that they should, pursuant to this section 4, adopt a bylaw establishing? Or do we need to put it in our recommendation, which may not happen for a number of months? I suggest Tom be our delivery man.
That I can do.
Okay. And I presume on section 4, we're taking no action on that section, other than asking Tom to deliver that message.
Right.
All right. So just so I'm
Okay.
clear, Larry,
Say it again?
just so I'm clear,
Yep.
that's pursuant to Article 6, Section 4. Is that
Right.
what you're saying?
You got.
Correct.
Yes, sir.
All right. No problem.
Okay.
I think our meeting is not happening this week, but next week I will relay that message.
Okay.
Thank you.
Now we left off in Article 8, Citizen Relief Mechanisms. We had finished with sections 1 and 2. Beginning section 3, and a question was raised that either school committee member, a school committee, or the town council may be approached by citizens, and they're unclear or unsure which mechanism they would go to have some issue brought before either the school committee or the town council. Don Mackey made available to us a link where we were able to view a all-day meeting of the Charter Review Commission back in 2015. There was one member conspicuously absent, that was me, because it was a Saturday. I'm guessing I was in either Washington or somewhere out of state, and I hope I was excused. But that's the reason I didn't remember what the discussion was. But having watched that and also read this over and over again, to see what the differences are. May I give you a synopsis of what I think and tell me if you think I'm incorrect? The Article 8, Section 2, petitions to the town council or school committee. Say I merely wanted the town council or school committee to discuss an issue, and I merely brought a petition suggesting they take up the issue of, give me a subject, any subject, on paving streets, okay? But I didn't have a specific place or location. I just wanted them to discuss in general, whether they have a 5-year plan, how they're going to do it, etc. And I basically left it to them. Just I was bringing a petition, an initiative, so they would discuss it. I think that's what Section 2 is all about. I think Section 3 is, I want to bring the same thing on a plan to paving of roads, etc. But I write up in my petition a proposal that, a very, very detailed proposal. And that proposal, once it's presented, then would go to the town's lawyer for review whether it's in proper legal form. And let's assume it is, then it goes back to the town clerk, and so many more voters are needed to sign an additional petition. And then the town council would make a decision whether or not to accept that petition. And if they choose not to, then I have the option, well, then they would have a question either put on a annual town meeting or a special meeting. And then if it's voted and approved at said meeting, town election, then it immediately goes into effect. Section 4, which is a citizen referendum procedure, is when a petition is brought where the town council or school committee has already made a decision on something, and the petition brought by citizens is to say, we don't like what you've decided, and we want you to reconsider. And if you reconsider and still stand by that, that vote, then we have the right to bring that issue to town election or special town election as well. And then if the referendum to reject or dismiss that vote that was taken is approved by the election, then it is taken off as if it never was approved. And during the pendency of the petition and the subsequent ballot question, the vote by the town council would be, or school committee, would be held in abeyance. The third matter here in this article is about recall procedure. I think that's self-explanatory. That's if some elected official is not in the view of the voters, not doing a good job, and they want to remove that person from the position. I think that's what the different sections are trying to say, and also what I heard in the Charter Commission's discussion that day. Any comments, questions before we go specifics? And welcome, Andy.
Thank you. Sorry I'm late.
That's all right. Andy, just to tell you, we did look at that section in Article, I think it's 6, about management standards, and it's Article 6, Section 4, and there is no general bylaw to that effect, and so Dr. Tom Christensen is going to relay that message to his General Bylaw Review Committee. So,
Okay.
with that, we are moving now on to Article 8, Section 3, Citizen Initiative Petitions. Subsection A, Commencement. Initiative procedures shall be started by the filing of a proposed initiative petition with the clerk of the town council or the secretary of the school committee, period. The initial petition shall be addressed to the town council or to the school committee and shall contain a request for the passage of a particular measure which shall be set forth in full in the initial petition, period. The initial petition shall be signed by a minimum of 50 voters, stating those voters will constitute the petitioners committee and be responsible for circulating the petition and filing it in proper form pursuant to subsection C, period. Any comments or questions on subsection A? Marilyn or Mike, to the best of your knowledge, have any initiative petitions been filed?
I think the only petition I'm aware of at this time that I recall is a petition that was requested certain information or a direction be allocated toward the past town manager.
But it didn't have, like, here, a formal measure to be acted upon. It just a petition asking something in general.
Go ahead,
Yes,
Mary.
ma'am.
Who, me?
Yes, Marilyn.
Okay, sorry. I wasn't on the council, I was in the audience. I believe the petition requested no increase in compensation for the town manager, and perhaps that was the measure that was being sought of in that petition. I know there was a public hearing that took
Okay.
place with respect to that petition,
Okay.
and Michael certainly could address anything about that.
Michael?
Well, the letter was read at the town council meeting, and because there were, I think, a minimum of 50 signatures at the time.
Mhm.
But I don't believe that petition actually triggered the public hearing.
Okay.
But it was quite a while ago. Marilyn, do you recall if it triggered?
I remember there was a public hearing, Larry, if it's okay. I remember there was a public hearing and there was testimony from some department heads in support of our town manager. I thought it was a public hearing, and my recollection is that the findings were inconclusive, or there was no documentation or reason to believe that what was cited in the petition warranted any measure being taken at that time.
All right. So if it was an initiative, it ended at the town council level?
Mhm.
Okay. So if that's what happened in 4 years, yes, Jeff?
As the originator of the petition, I can tell you
Okay.
specifically, it was a petition with over 100 signatures
Right.
that was verified by the town clerk as being registered voters. To be, the original petition, I believe, had 125, 130 signatures, of which 101 were validated to be registered voters. And it was a no confidence petition in the town manager and recommending to the town council that she not receive a salary increase and that her contract not be renewed. And there were 4 points of justification for that.
So it sounds to me like you brought it pursuant to subsection 2, rather than as an initiative petition under
Right.
that procedure.
Yeah,
Okay, okay. I'm just trying to get a flavor for us and for the audience with the frequency of how of these petitions happen. Okay.
to-
You've got to put her away. So I'm presuming, good
upstage by a
dog,
dog.
good dog. Pardon us. So I'll presume on subsection A, no action. Correct?
That's what we said last week, basically.
Okay. Subsection B, referral to the town attorney. The clerk of the town council or the secretary of the school committee shall, immediately following receipt of the initial petition, deliver a copy of the petition to the town attorney, period. The town attorney shall, within 21 days following receipt of a copy of the petition, in writing, advise the town council or the school committee and the town clerk whether the measure as proposed may lawfully be proposed by the initiative process and whether, in its present form, it may lawfully be adopted by the town council or the school committee, period. If the opinion of the town attorney is that the measure is not in proper form, the reply shall state the reasons for this opinion in full, period. A copy of the opinion of the town attorney shall be mailed to the first 10 voters who signed the initial petition. Comments, question, discussion? I'll put no action on that section.
Hear you.
Subsection C, submission to town clerk. If the town attorney determines that the petition is in a proper form, the town clerk shall provide blank forms for the use of subsequent voters signing the petition and shall print at the top of each blank form a fair, concise summary of the proposed measure as determined by the town attorney, together with the names and addresses of the first 10 voters who signed the initial petition, period. The town clerk shall notify the first 10 voters that the blank forms are issued, period. Within 60 days following the date of the notice, the petition shall be returned and filed with the town clerk, signed by a minimum of 50 additional voters who did not sign the original petition, period. Within 10 days following the filing of the petition, the registrars of voters shall ascertain the number of voters that signed the petition, period. The registrar of voters shall cause a certificate showing the results of its examination to be attached to the petition and shall return the petition to the clerk of the town council or the secretary of the school committee, depending on how the petition is addressed, period. A copy of the registrars of voters certificate shall also be mailed to the first 10 names identified as the petitioners committee on the initial petition, if applicable, period. End of that subsection. Discussion, questions, comments? Seeing none, no action on that subsection. Subsection D, action on petitions. Within 30 days following the date of petition pursuant to subsection C has been returned to the clerk of the town council or the secretary of the school committee, the town council or the school committee shall vote with respect to each initiative petition by passing it without change, by passing a measure which is stated to be in lieu of the initiative measure, or by rejecting it, period. The passage of a measure which is in lieu of an initiative measure shall be deemed to be a rejection of the initiative measure, period. If the town council or the school committee fails to act within 30 days following the date the measure is returned to it, the measure shall be deemed to have been rejected at the expiration of 30 days, period. If an initiative measure is rejected, the clerk of the town council or the secretary of the school committee shall promptly give notice of that fact to the first 10 voters who signed the initial petition by mail, period. End of subsection. Discussion? Questions? Comments?
So
Yes, Tom?
that's an automatic rejection if they take no measure?
Yeah, because without the rejection, then I don't think the petitioners can go forward to the next step would be the ballot question.
Okay.
And so that's the reason that I think the original commission decided there had to be some time limit where you have to make a decision, or if you don't, then it's considered rejected.
Fair enough.
Rather than the other way, which
Right.
if you did nothing, it would automatically be accepted.
Right.
Yep. Any other questions or comments on that subsection? Seeing none, no action. Hey, Liz, can you wash these glasses, please? Give me 30 seconds. I have to clean my, well, Liz is going to clean my glasses. Let's see how good I am. Subsection E, supplemental petitions. Within 60 days following the date an initiative petition has been rejected, a supplemental initiative petition may be filed with the clerk of the town council or the secretary of the school committee, but only by persons constituting the original petitioners committee, period. The supplemental initiative petition shall be signed by a minimum of 400 voters, period. The signatures on the initial petition filed under subsection C and the signatures on the supplemental petition filed under this subsection, taken together, shall contain the signatures of a minimum of 500 voters, period. If the number of signatures to this supplemental petition is found to be sufficient by the town clerk, the town council shall cause the measure to appear on the ballot of the next annual town election, provided such petition is found sufficient at least 60 days prior to the scheduled election. Otherwise, the measure shall appear on the following year's ballot during the regular town election. Period. End of subsection. Questions, comments, discussion? Seeing none, no action on that subsection. Subsection F, publication. The full text of an initiative measure which is submitted to the voters shall be published in at least one local newspaper, not less than 7, nor more than 21 days preceding the date of the election at which the question is to be voted upon, period. Additional copies of the full text shall be available for distribution to the public in the office of the town clerk, period. Publication shall be at the town's expense, period. End of subsection F. Questions, comments? Seeing none, no action. Subsection G, form of question. The ballots used when voting on a measure proposed by the voters under this section shall contain a question in substantially the following form. Shall the following measure, which was proposed by an initiative petition, take effect? Question mark. Here insert the fair, concise summary of the proposed measure as determined by the town attorney as referenced in subsection C. Then there are blocks to either check yes or no. End of subsection G. Questions, comments? Hearing and seeing none, no action. Subsection H, time of taking effect. If a majority of the voters cast on the question is in the affirmative, the measure shall be deemed to be effective immediately unless a later date is specified in the measure. End of subsection H. Questions, comments? Seeing and hearing none, no action on that. We now move to section 4, citizen referendum procedures. Subsection A, petition effect on final vote. If within 21 days following the date on which the town council or the school committee has voted finally to approve any measure, a petition signed by a minimum of 500 voters and addressed to the town council or to the school committee protesting against the measure or any part of it is filed with the clerk of the town council or the secretary of the school committee. The effective date of that measure shall be temporarily suspended, period. The town council or the school committee shall immediately reconsider its vote on the measure or part thereof protested against. And if the measure is not rescinded, the town council shall provide for the submission of the question for determination by the voters either at a special election, which it may call at its convenience, within such time as may be requested by the school committee, or at the next regular town election, semicolon, provided, however, that pending this submission and determination, the effect of the measure shall continue to be suspended, period. End of subsection A. Comments, questions? Jeff, is that you leaning forward?
No,
Okay. I just had, give me a 10 seconds. I want to read something. Okay. Hearing and seeing none, no action. I was just looking if the town council school committee, it don't rescind, it's the town council has to bring the order for a election. Am I correct, town council members? It wouldn't be the school committee calling for a general election. It's always the town council.
I would assume so.
Yep, okay. Subsection B, submission to town clerk. Within 10 days following the filing of the petition, the registrar of voters shall ascertain the number of voters that signed the petition, period. The registrars of voters shall cause a certificate showing the results of its examination to be attached to the petition and shall return the petition to the clerk of the town council or the secretary of the school committee, depending on how the petition is addressed, period. A copy of the registrars of voters certificate shall also be mailed to the first 10 voters who signed the petition, comma, if applicable, period. End of subsection B. Questions, comments? No action on that subsection. Subsection C, referral to the town attorney. The clerk of the town council or the secretary of the school committee shall, immediately following receipt of the petition, deliver a copy of the petition to the town attorney, period. The town attorney shall, within 21 days following receipt of a copy of the petition, in writing, advise the town council or the school committee and the town clerk whether the measure may lawfully be protested by the referendum process, period. If the opinion of the town attorney is that the protest of the measure is not in proper form, comma, the reply shall state the reasons for this opinion in full. If the town attorney finds it is in not proper form, it is not in proper form, the suspension on the measure shall be immediately lifted, period. A copy of the opinion of the town attorney shall be mailed to the first 10 voters who signed the petition, period. End of subsection C. Questions, comments, discussion? No action on that subsection. Subsection D, publication. The full text of a referendum measure which is submitted to the voters shall be published in a local newspaper, not less than 7 nor more than 21 days preceding the date of the election at which the question is to be voted upon, period. Additional copies of the full text shall be available for distribution to the public in the office of the town clerk, period. Publication shall be at the town's expense, period. End of subsection D. Questions, comments? Seeing none, no action. Subsection E, form of question. The ballots used when voting on a measure proposed by the voters under this section shall contain a question in substantially the following form. Shall the following measure or part thereof protested against by referendum take effect? Question mark. Here insert the text of the measure or part thereof protested against as originally voted by the town council or school committee. Then there are check blocks to vote either yes or no. End of subsection E. Questions, comments, discussion? Seeing none, no action. Subsection F, time of taking effect. If a majority of the vote cast on the question is in the affirmative, the measure as originally approved by the town council or school committee shall be deemed to be effective immediately. Am I reading that correctly?
Yeah, but
If a majority of the votes
that's, well, yes, you're reading it correctly, but I don't,
Shall the
we're
following
talking about the protest against the original. And it's saying if the answer, the majority of the votes are in the affirmative, which is in the protestation.
It is, yeah. Take a look at the question in subsection E.
Wouldn't it determine, Larry,
Yes, ma'am.
wouldn't it determine how the insert, as far as the text of the measure, whatever it said, and votes are usually in the affirmative, you know, when you vote for things on council and boards, maybe it has to do with how the text is written. And we don't know that because it's not, you know, it's not an actual petition. Am I coming through?
Yeah, I'd like to pose an example. Say the town council created some vote. You could not mow lawns on Sunday. And 500 voters, or whatever the number is, got together and brought this referendum to say, we don't like that vote, we want it thrown out. So the way I read the wording of the question in subsection E, it's saying, shall the vote about no lawn mowing on Sunday take effect? I'm paraphrasing. And so the question is put, does the public want what was voted upon by the town council or school committee to take effect? If the vote would be no, the voters would be saying, no, we don't want that rule. We want to be able to mow our lawns on Sunday. Perhaps it could have been worded in the reverse, but I think that's what it's saying. Yes, ma'am.
I guess I'm going back to votes that I've been involved with. They're always written, the motions are made in the affirmative.
Uh-huh.
And then you would either support the measure and say yes, or you would, and a lot of times it may be a vote that we really didn't want, but the motion is made in the affirmative and everybody would vote no. In this case, what if they said the measure would be to allow the mowing of lawns on Sundays? It has, it just depends on how it's worded.
But the town council could take a measure either way, and what the form of the question for the ballot would be whatever was decided by town council. Do you approve that of taking effect, or whatever they decided? And so it's asking the town through the election whether you want to confirm what the town council voted or not. And so what subsection F is saying is, if you say yes, we confirm and approve what the town council voted on, then although it was suspended until the vote was taken, now it's immediately back in effect. So there'd be, in the example I used, there'd be no lawn mowing on Sundays. Does that make sense to everyone?
The wording's confusing, but yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. But the town's lawyer will make that decision when and if it ever happens. Yes, Jeff.
Is it that the council is voting for the referendum, or they're voting to say, yes, we'll put the referendum on the ballot?
No, see, what happens is town council or school committee makes a decision on some measure. And we're going to use the no mowing of lawns on Sunday. That's our example. So they make that decision this past Tuesday night. And within the time frame, 500 voters file a referendum procedure to say, we don't like it, we think you should reverse and rescind that decision.
Okay.
Okay.
So the town council then reconsiders it, and if they say, you're right, we shouldn't have a rule like that, you go ahead and mow your lawns on Sunday, then it ends there. But if they reconsider and say, no, this justification for keeping it, then those voters who petitioned can say, well, now we want to go the next step. We want the whole town to vote whether they want to confirm, rubber stamp what the town council decided, or they want to say, no, wipe it off the books. So the way the form of the question is done A yes vote would confirm and approve what the town council did. A no vote would say, strike it from the books. You can start over and do something else. Yes, Tom?
A no vote is a yes for the protest.
That's correct. That's correct.
It's confusing.
That's an affirmative.
Right.
And the reason the wording is like this, we were not the first town to do a town charter. So this is probably wording that's in other towns used and approved by the Attorney General. And that's why it appears that way. It's a roundabout way of getting what would be another solution is possible. All right, so I see no other questions or comments in subsection F. So no action on that. Section 5, ineligible measures. None of the following shall be subject to the initiative or the referendum procedures. 1, proceedings relating to the internal organization or operation of the town council or of the school committee. 2, an emergency measure adopted under the charter. 3, the town budget or the school committee budget as a whole. 4, any appropriation for the payment of the town's debt or debt service. 5, proceedings relating to the appointment, removal, discharge, employment, promotion, transfer, demotion, or other personnel action. 6, any proceedings repealing or rescinding a measure or part of it which is protested by referendum procedure. 7, any proceedings providing for the submission or referral to the voters at an election. And number 8, resolutions and other votes constituting ordinary routine matters not suitable as a subject of a referendum petition in the opinion of the town attorney. Period. End of section 5. Questions, comments, discussion? Seeing and hearing none, no action. Section 6, measures with conflicting provisions. If 2 or more proposed measures passed at the same election contain conflicting provisions, only the one receiving the greater number of affirmative votes shall take effect, period. End of section 6. Any discussion, questions, comments? No action on that. Section 7, citizen recall procedures. Subsection A, application. Any holder of an elected office in the town with more than 6 months remaining in the term of office for which the official was elected may be recalled therefrom by the voters of the town in the manner provided in this section, period. No recall petition shall be filed against an official within 6 months after taking office, period. End of subsection A. Questions, comments, discussion? Seeing none, no action. Subsection B, recall petition. A recall petition may be initiated by the filing of a petition containing the name of the official sought to be recalled and a statement of the grounds for recall, provided that the petition is signed by a minimum of 500 voters for any elected official, period. The town clerk shall thereupon deliver to the first 10 signers of the petition copies of petition blanks demanding such recall, copies of which printed forms the town clerk shall keep available, period. The blanks shall be issued by the town clerk with signature and official seal attached thereto, period. The blanks shall be dated, shall be addressed to the town council, and shall contain the names of all the persons to whom the blanks are issued, the number of blanks so issued, the name of the person whose recall is sought, the office from which removal is sought, and the grounds of recall as stated in the petition, period. A copy of the petition shall be entered in a record book to be kept in the office of the town clerk, period. Said recall petition shall be returned and filed with the town clerk within 30 days after the filing of the petition, and shall have been signed by a minimum of 500 additional voters. Excuse me, period. The town clerk shall submit the petition to the registrars of voters, and the registrars shall, within 10 days, certify thereon the number of signatures which are names of voters, period. End of subsection B. Questions, comments, discussion? Seeing none, no act. Oh, Marilyn, you just in the nick.
I'm not sure if I have, okay, so I understand for recall position, initially, there's a minimum of 500 signatures.
Right.
And I'm trying to, and maybe written, maybe I missed it, and then there's a request for an additional 500, so we're talking 1,000 signatures total.
Yep.
What happens at the submission of the first 500 voters? What process takes place to qualify those to then go move on? I'm not sure I'm seeing that. Why the difference, why the break between 500 and 500?
Why an additional 500 needed?
Right. I mean, what, I know initially if it was going to the town attorney for some kind of approval, but I don't see what happens to those first 500 to then say, okay, now you can move forward to the second 500.
I can't recall why, and remember, someone was absent, but allowed absent that day. I don't know the answer.
Okay.
I can only say that, and I didn't watch that part of the tape. We can watch it again. I just have a feeling that initially 500 was sufficient, but then after those votes were counted and so forth, and the person who was in that office had not resigned, etc., then an additional 30 days, 1,000 probably, based on the number of voters, which is, now it's over 10%, it's about 10% or a little bit less, was such an important issue. And that's probably why the increase in numbers. We can postpone making a decision on this section and watch the tape, the reasons for that increase. I don't know the answer. Just I'm guessing.
Okay, thank you.
Would you like to postpone and watch that tape?
We could. I was just curious if in the middle of the paragraph, it says that the minimum of 500 voters is submitted. The town clerk shall thereupon deliver to the first 10 signers of the petition copies of petition blanks demanding such recall. Then it says the blank shall be issued by the town clerk. Then it goes on to say that shall be addressed to the town council. Now, does the town council have some sort of action on those first 500 signatures before it moves to the second 500?
I don't think so. I think
Okay,
Section C, once the second 500 is submitted, then we go to C. So I think the bottom line is before, you're going to have at least 30 days between the initial petition and its potential submission eventually to the town council. And perhaps during that time, a person who is named in the recall petition can withdraw, or reconsider whether they should stay on.
right.
I don't know the answer to that.
It's all right.
I don't know if within that 30 days or probably going to be a little bit longer, whether the town council would even discuss the issue. Yes, Tom.
So is it just because it's obviously a major undertaking, you got to get the original 500 for the town clerk to even do the work?
That's correct.
Yeah,
That's
so
what
maybe that's you get your 500, then you got to go get another 500 for us to actually make this happen.
Yeah, and I think the justification for the increased amount beyond the initiative or the referendum procedures is the severity of the recall petition, and I think that's the reason for the increase.
Okay. I'm not challenging it. I just was looking for an understanding of why the division, but what you said, Tom, makes some sense to why it's broken in half.
I'll tell you what, we can put no action now, but I'm going to watch that portion of the tape as well. All right, subsection C, recall election. If the petition shall be found and certified by the town clerk to be sufficient, the town clerk shall submit the same with such certificate to the town council within 7 days. And the town council president shall give written notice of the receipt of the certificate to the official sought to be recalled, and shall, if the official does not resign within 7 days thereafter, order an election to be held on a date fixed by the town council, not less than 64 days and not more than 90 days after the date of the town clerk's certificate that a sufficient petition has been filed. Provided, however, that if any other town election is to occur within 120 days after the date of the certificate, the town council shall postpone the holding of the recall election to the date of such other election, period. If a vacancy occurs in said office after a recall election has been ordered, the election shall not proceed as provided in this section. Period. End of subsection C. Discussion? Questions? Comments?
64 days is a fun number.
I have no idea. I have no idea. When I watch the tape, I probably will have an answer for you.
All right.
All right, seeing nothing, so no action.
Maybe it's a typo. Maybe it's 60 days.
64 is
Well,
definitely
It
bizarre.
seems strange. You're
I
right.
can double check that. It's just very odd.
It's a long way from a 4 to a 0 on a typewriter.
Never. You're right.
Subsection, yes. Subsection D, office holder. The incumbent shall continue to perform the duties of the office until the recall election, period. If said incumbent is not recalled, the incumbent shall continue in office for the remainder of the unexpired term subject to recall as provided in subsection G below, period. If recalled, the official shall be deemed immediately removed and the office vacant. The vacancy, period. The vacancy created thereby shall be filled under Article 2 or 4 of this charter for filling vacancies in such office, period. A person chosen to fill the vacancy caused by a recall shall hold office until the next regular town election, period. Should the person filling the vacancy be a candidate in the subsequent election, comma, that person will not be allowed to have, in quotation marks, candidate for re-election, close quotation marks, appear on the ballot at such election, period. End of subsection D. Comments? Questions? Seeing none,
4 minutes.
no action on that. And it's time to call it a night. Our next meeting is Tuesday,
No,
the 3rd.
election day. That's
Oh,
election
can't
day.
do it.
Yeah.
Okay, what's your pleasure, people? Dr. Mackey, your input, please.
I'm going to look here at the calendar. If you give me one
Yes, sir.
second.
Okay,
So Tuesday is election day. So I have you actually on that day as a placeholder because I was pending your decision. And I think you're right. It's state election and you can't meet.
It's
Right.
federal
So,
election.
that's right.
Make it the 10th.
The 10th is, oh, I have you for the 10th already before
Yeah.
4:30. You want to just skip a week?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay,
All right.
everyone okay with that?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay, so our next, yes, Marilyn?
I just want to give you a reminder, we still don't have minutes from our last meeting.
So noted. I spoke to the person who's
Okay,
away, has them done, but on his computer at home,
that's
and
fine.
he's away.
I just didn't
So
want.
I'm on
it to get
top of
lost.
that.
Okay, thank
I've
you.
got it under control. All right, so our next meeting will be 4:30, November 10th, same place, same channel. Any other business before the committee today? Seeing none, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second,
Okay.
All those in favor, Phil Adams,
Yes.
Larry Levine, yes? Marilyn Richards,
yes.
Jeff Bosworth,
Yes.
Andy Frazier,
Yes.
Tom Christensen,
Yes.
unanimous. Stay safe, people. Good
Thank
job
you.
today.
See ya.
Good seeing you.
John.
Good night.